So hey everyone and welcome back! Yes, I'm still alive, yes, I'm still here, and yes, the weather has been mostly crap for the past year. I think 2023 has actually been the hardest year for astrophotography ever since I first started this hobby, like 5 years ago. But we'll see what 2024 brings along. For now, and addressing the green screened elephant in the room, I have made some changes to my recording environment to try out some new stuff, so we'll see what the future brings. For now, let's change it to something a little more pleasant. Oh yeah. For this video, we're going to talk about auroras, that amazing phenomenon that both the sun and our atmosphere combine to sometimes give to us and makes up one of the most incredible natural events that you can actually lay your eyes upon. So why talk about auroras? Well, because I'm a lucky bastard and I got the amazing opportunity to travel up to the Arctic Circle and see them for myself. I traveled up to the Finnish city of Rovaniemi and also the village of Sarisalka to try my luck, and on one very special night the clouds parted away, the cold actually gave us a break, and we were able to be presented with this amazing sight. Bucket list item, check. So, just to address some technical details, I didn't take any of my fancy gear along with me. This is just a smartphone placed on a standard tripod, some 10-second 1600 ISO exposures, and trying to remain very still on fluffy, very deep snow. And as it turns out, the excitement of seeing the aurora actually turned on the monkey brain part of my brain that forgot all about astrophotography concepts like lowering your ISO gain, turning on shutter delay, or even not bumping into the tripod, which is why the image is a little bit shaky. Talking about the aurora itself, these are what you call the Aurora Borealis, or the northern lights, because as the name implies, these happen alongside the North Pole. In order to fully understand what's happening here, we do have to talk a little bit about space weather. So while our collective experience of the sun mostly comes down to light and warmth, there's a lot more stuff being launched our way than just plain radiation. The sun itself is a big ball of superheated plasma, and as such, it does launch particles into space. These particles are mostly charged protons, electrons, helium nuclei, also called alpha particles, and some other heavy elements. And while they are nowhere near the speed of light, they can actually reach great speeds of about 500 kilometers per second when they actually reach Earth. And this is where the Earth's magnetic field actually comes into play to protect us. So in the same way that the ozone layer protects us from the sun's ultraviolet radiation, the magnetic field protects us from these flying bullets, if you want to call them that. You can actually see an example of not having a magnetic field by looking at Mars. So throughout its lifetime, Mars's atmosphere has been slowly peeled away by the solar wind, leaving only trace amount of it left. I believe it's like 1% of the Earth's total atmosphere, so you can really see the effect of not having a magnetic field to protect the atmosphere from the solar wind. So the magnetic field is a good thing. However, like all things, it's not perfect. So if you recall experiments that you might have done in high school, magnetic fields propagate along what you call field lines. Okay, so in essence, the field comes up from one point, goes around the object and goes up the other point, which are called the poles. And while it's not an exact perfect match, you can loosely think of these as the North and the South Pole of the Earth. So while the majority of the solar wind is actually deflected away from the Earth, due to the way that these field lines actually work, there are a few particles that can actually be captured and fall into the Earth's atmosphere at these poles, which then give rise to the phenomenon that we know as the auroras. So in essence, as these particles fall into the atmosphere, they can interact with the gases that exist there, oxygen and nitrogen mostly, and each one of these gives out different colors based on this interaction, varying from green and red for oxygen, purple and pink for nitrogen, and even different mixes based on different mixes of gases. So based on this, you can now see that the majority of gases in my image is based on oxygen. And being green also means that this is happening at a somewhat low altitude, even though here low is a relative term because this is all happening at above 100 kilometers of altitude. So if these auroras actually seem pretty close, it's actually because they are absolutely massive and big. So as to the visual experience itself, I can tell you it's quite an amazing sight. Even though you don't really see these vivid colors with your own eyes, it's more closely related to a fluorescent cloud, to which you can spot whirlwinds, twists and turns, but without seeing too much color. That is not to say, however, that I came away disappointed, far from it. To be able to see such an event with my eyes instead of through pictures is amazing in and of itself, and something that I cannot recommend enough in case you get an opportunity such as this. And if you do get the opportunity and want to photograph the event, here are some tips that I can share based on my own experience with these images. Number 1. 800 ISO to try to limit the grain of the image. I found that 1600 ISO was a bit too much. Number 2. Play around with 5 to 10 second exposures depending on the brightness of the aurora. This one was actually quite bright, and some images got completely overexposed at just 15 seconds, so you'll need to adapt on these circumstances. And do use shutter delay or release cables to avoid vibrations when exposing. Number 3, obviously the more sensitive your sensor is, the better. Smartphone camera isn't really optimal for this kind of work, but always play with what you have. Number 4, you don't really need a strong tripod if it's not windy, but do keep in mind that fluffy snow can be a pain to get a solid ground on, which means that any nearby footsteps might induce vibrations, so always be mindful of that. Number 5, and this is something I didn't manage to do, but I still hope to be able to get the chance someday, which is taking a time-lapse, similar to what you do with star trails by using some software that allows it on smartphones. Mine didn't work as planned, so any ideas I had about the time-lapse got ruined, but I'm guessing it would be quite an interesting experience. And lastly, don't forget, enjoy with your own eyes. It's easy to get lost in the moment with taking pictures and everything else, but do remind yourself to live in the moment and really appreciate what you are seeing. So that's it for this video, a bit shorter one this time. I hope you enjoyed this picture. I sure as hell enjoyed taking it and taking a look at this phenomenon with my own eyes. I'll probably have some other content I'll probably post on Instagram in the meantime, but until next time, please remember to always keep looking up. Bye!